Greetings, everyone. My name is Dr. Jay Singh, and I'm the founder of Publication Academy, your online training partner for higher ed career advancement and professional development. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today for this installment of our Career Pathway series, Exiting Academia. Today we have a fascinating interview with Dr. Alam, who successfully transitioned from completing a PhD in human-computer interaction into the exciting industry vertical of industry and commercial engineering. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Over now to our amazing Publication Academy interviewer, Dr. Gertrude Nantra.
Welcome everyone, Dr. G. Nantra here, and today I'm excited to have Dr. Alam. Welcome, Dr. Alam.
Thank you, Dr. G. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to chat with you. So could you tell us a little bit about your educational background and maybe a little bit of what led you to enter industry instead of pursuing an academic degree, an academic career?
Okay, so I did my PhD in human-computer interaction, and I have master's in bachelor in architecture, which is a bit different field. But actually, from my day one of my PhD program, I knew that I will be working in the industry. So that's something not new for me. I've been preparing for that.
That's great. That's great. So it wasn't like, okay, I wanted to work in academia, but now I'm working in industry. You set out to work in industry, and that's great. And I think that that's validating for some people, because sometimes people can begin to feel, oh, if I leave academia, I might. But there are people that go into PhD programs knowing that they want to work in industry. That's wonderful. So
Yes.
Can you tell us about what you're doing now? What are you doing now after your PhD?
Okay, so at this moment, I'm working on the control system, which is, again, very new field for me. I mean, in my life, I always pivoted. So in any oil and gas industry, I mean, you see like there's a pipes and the water flows goes, and that water flows is controlled by the valve.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a controller system that control the up and downs of those valves. So I work on those control systems that control the entire flow of fluid and oil and gas.
Okay, so controlling the valves within the oil and gas industry. That's why the valves, right?
Yes,
The technology with the valves. Okay, that's awesome. So on a daily basis, what does your day-to-day look like? I'm pretty sure it's varied, but what is a day in the life of Dr. M look like?
Okay, so for day in my life, actually, what I'm working on the writing and working on system engineering requirement. So let's say to create any product, I mean, there's a marketing requirement. Even if you build a rocket, there's a customer to buy that rocket, right? So they will ask for you requirement. Okay, I want this. They have 5 checklist items. That is purely from their user perspective, from marketing perspective. And what I do, I take those marketing requirement and turn into a system engineering requirement, so that engineers will understand what they have to do, what is needed. And then based on those requirements, I make even more detailed requirement for each and every component, so that this goes to the developers who do the coding and programming stuff. So they make it to happen. And I'm the person who combine the outside world of the business and the marketing to the technical world of our industry.
Wow, that's amazing. So let me recap what I think you said. So you're saying that you take what the customer requirements, they're like, okay, we would like this, we would like that, and you take those customer requests, right? And then you systematize it, you write it in language that engineers can understand, and then you hand that off to the engineers so that they can design a product that meets the customer's needs, correct?
Exactly. And again, in the engineering team, there are 2 components. One is like the hardware component, that hardware body, and there's another component, that's the brain, the software, and the firmware team. So there are 3 teams, and I coordinate all those people with the marketing team. So my collaboration skill play a great role here.
That's amazing, because I think that what you're doing is, and in my own work, I don't always interface with the customers, but it's something similar where you are the bridge between the lay people and then the very, very technical people. And you are making sure that your product is a perfect market fit. Basically, that's what you're doing.
Exactly. Yep.
So that's
Exactly.
and that's the basis of business. Like, you don't start a business just to make things that you like. You start a business to make things that the customer wants. And you are doing that in the engineering space. That's amazing.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So how did you find this job though? Because I'm thinking to myself, it's not like this kind of job is advertised all over the place. So how did you find the job? What was the application process? What did the application process look like?
Wow, that's the answer would sound like cliche, but it's always true. Networking. So
Mm,
same old. I mean, even when I was looking for job, I heard that the speaker is saying about this networking. This is so true. So what happened back in 2021, I got an internship in a different company,
mhm,
and I tried my best to work there. I mean, for my internship, and my supervisor was impressed with my performance. Okay,
mm,
and then I keep networking with my supervisor and other team, and I was very active in the LinkedIn. So in my when I was in my PhD program, I was involved with different competition, innovation cohort, leadership courses, and I was always posting and I always involved in that arena. So what happened when recently last year when I reached out my that manager in internship, I said, hey, I didn't actually ask for a job. I just requested him, hey, can you write a recommendation for me in LinkedIn? He said, Im, you have to come to my factory. I mean, we're looking for someone. We need you. Come on. And then, but that time he changed the company. He moved to another company. But
ah,
he remembered me. He found value in me. And then we had a factory visit. And then I talked to the team. So they already saw me before even I applied, officially
mhm.
applied. And then, I mean, there's a formal application process. I go through this. And then later we have 2 other interview session. And then I got the offer letter.
Wow. So it's so amazing because one of the things that I definitely to have talked about in the past is the importance of networking. And I've had people tell me, well, I don't want to feel like I'm bothering people. I don't know how to network. I don't want to be talking to people just so I can get a job. But I think, this is such a great lesson in the importance of networking. And also the fact that networking doesn't have to be something so like it looks so impossible. In your case, you had done an internship somewhere, you went back to school to do your work, and then you reached out to the person that you were working with in your internship. He had changed companies, and now he's like, oh, I loved working with you. So I think there are a few lessons here. Number one is everybody's an opportunity, right? Anybody
Of
you
course.
meet, yeah,
Yes.
anybody you meet is part of your network, basically. Number two, don't burn your bridges, right?
Yep.
Don't burn your bridges. Stay in touch with people. And it doesn't have you don't I always tell people that when you're networking, you don't have to be best friends with people. You don't have to be They don't have to be your best friend. But just say, oh, you said, can you write me a recommendation? And he's like, oh, I have something better for you.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So what was what the interview, well, you mentioned that you had 2 interviews and then you got the offer. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's great. So what do you think was the hardest part of making this transition from academia to industry? I don't think for you, just from listening to you, I don't think it was hard because you already had made your mind up to move into industry. But do you think you faced any challenges doing this?
I mean, there are 2 kind of challenges I think like the graduate student like us face. Number one is internal. Like they
Mm,
think they are trained for, I mean, from the day one, if you think you're trained for being an academia, then changing the mindset is like a watershed moment.
yeah,
It's not
yeah,
easy.
yeah.
So I didn't have that challenge. I mean, I knew I'll be work outside of academia,
Hmm.
but I was thinking that but working in the academia is also an option. It's not like I'm fixated. I have that option, but I'm more like 80% towards industry. That's one thing. But hardest part was getting a job because I mean the way I say it as if it is like a story like happy ending story, but it was not like that. I mean what happened before I asking for recommendation later. I mean I applied different places, hundreds and hundreds of places, and it was not easy. I mean, I was not getting offered that much, and there's a we need to have better communication between industry and academia, because industry often think the PhDs are overqualified and they are not fit for industry, and there's some reason also. I mean, sometimes they found some PhDs who are like really very introvert, and also there's a media perception of tortured genius, wearing white lab coat, the lab, we don't do any fun, we're not.
The tortured genius, yeah.
Yeah. This all kind of things, and also, I mean, yeah. So this was the toughest part, and also you have to understand, I'm in a human computer interaction field, so this field is a bit like interdisciplinary.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is like very specific technical field, okay, chemical engineer, they know exactly what they're doing with the chemical industry, for an example. But SCI is a broad field. We have from psychology to all the way to robotics and AI. So where I am fitting in and what they need. So let's say for this company, they need someone who has collaboration skill, who can work with a cross-functional team, talk to the marketing teams, to all the way to a like very serious coding people. So I was the right fit for them. But that getting the right fit, that's the hardest part for me.
Getting the right fit.
Yeah.
Getting the right fit. So it's amazing, because I feel like I also faced something similar when I was moving from academia to industry. I was thinking, okay, where can I? And I think a lot of people struggle with this. It's like, where can my skills? Where can I be where I can still use my skills? I can still use my love for science, but then I'm not doing the things in academia I didn't enjoy as much, right? I didn't really enjoy all the research, even though I did well at it, even though I was productive. I didn't enjoy it. So where do you fit in? And how do you answer that question for yourself? Because for me, I ended up going back into, okay, which part of my PhD did I enjoy? And I knew that I enjoyed writing and I enjoyed teaching. I didn't necessarily enjoy the research part of it, right? So I knew that all the jobs that had researcher in the title, that was cut off, right? But for me, that's where it came down to, which is why I ended up in medical communications. But for you, what would you say was sort of the guidepost to get you here? Because I hear you, because applying for hundreds of jobs, I identify the struggle to find the fit. I identify, but how did you finally come to that conclusion that this was something that you would want to do? What do you think helped?
Okay, so first of all, I mean, even from my childhood, I was like very curious person, like asking questions and asking the question. That was me. And even if you see if you have a time to see my LinkedIn profile, you see, I mean, I've been actively involved with innovations. So when I was first inaugurated their innovation center in the midst of the COVID, I was one of the first person in the cohort for innovation fellowship program. So I was always in the innovation. Every year I participated in innovation competitions, sometimes my own, but I love that. So I found myself, I love to innovate, and I want to do something with innovation in industry term, R&D, because research and development is part of the innovation, right? And then I was looking for job in that field, like R&D manager or R&D scientist. So that's my interest, and that's the official post for this position. And then where I'm working now, same thing. We're innovating valve system, we're innovating valve control system, and I'm working on that. And also another thing, I'm more like extrovert person. I love people, and I mean, I cannot finish my grocery shopping unless I talk to at least one of the associates, how they're doing, how is their life going. So, so that's me. And then this job position actually fit exactly with that.
So this is perfect. So I think what I'm hearing is, you should know yourself. You should introspect. And I've also said this, introspect. It's really important, because a lot of people end up doing work they don't want to do for like decades. And I'm like, I don't sign me up for that. I really wanted to do work that it made sense for my personality, and it made sense for the things that I loved. And that's what I'm hearing you say. I love to talk to people. I love innovation. I
Yep.
love this stuff. So I wanted to. So it's essentially it was a guiding post for you. I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that with
Yeah,
us. Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this then flows into my next question about transferable skills. We talk about this a lot, right? You're doing one thing in academia for like 5-6 years in a PhD or in a master's program, and now you're trying to translate those skills to somewhere where you haven't worked before. What do you think were the transferable skills, or the question is going to be twofold: the transferable skills that helped you get the job, and the transferable skills that you continue to use in your job?
Okay. Okay. So let's burst the myth first. Number one, I mean, because it's important. Maybe, I'm not sure whether you'll ask me about that. Every time I used to get a job application or like job descriptions, I look into the items that is like technical skill, and I immediately look for what I don't have. Just don't do
Mm,
that, because I mean, technical skill is important, but transferable skill is even more important.
okay.
Okay, so what transferable skill actually I use? Number one is learning things very quickly. If you
Mm,
go into a big company, they have everything by their own. Like they have their own software, their accounting software, their management software, their even the product software, product management software. Everything they use their proprietary software because of the copyright and other stuff, security reasons. So actually, you have to learn those things, no matter how much you expert on your specific technical skills. So being able to learn quickly and efficiently, that helps tremendously.
mm,
Doing multiple projects. When we were in a graduate school, we have taken this as granted, but we don't realize we have our family, we have our TA work, we are RA, we have research position, we work with our professors, we do multiple meetings where some of us is involved with student body. We have to work with those. So dealing with different types of people and managing multiple
mm,
projects is the skill that not everyone has.
mm,
So easily I transfer those skills here. Now I'm talking to from decision maker to policy maker to all the way to those who execute.
mm,
So and being able to work with a cross-functional team, like
mm.
the way software team thinks, the hardware team doesn't think that way. But
Yeah.
to collaborate them and bring them in a common ground and
Mm,
making things happen, this is
mhm,
something I learned back in graduate college.
mhm,
So that is another one, transferable skill. And then people skill. I mean, having genuine interest on people, having genuine interest on product, having genuine interest on unknown that I don't know but I want to know. That
right.
that 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 helped me to get in, and uh, this will help me down the line as well, because in the future I'll be doing the same thing. Every time I get promoted, I go to the next stage. I will encounter with something unknown. I will encounter with a cross-functional team that I don't know, right? And I have to manage multiple projects.
Mhm.
So it helped me now, and I know this will be an asset for my future as well.
Mm. So many nuggets in there. Don't I like what you said? You look at the you look at the job description, you're like, oh, I don't have these skills. Don't
No.
do that. I also tell people, like, don't do that. Usually when they're writing these job descriptions, it's more like, if we had the most perfect person, this is all the things they would have. But
Yeah.
I love that the fact that you learn quickly, you're dealing with people, the people skills, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And all of these, if you're able to showcase that and communicate that in your interview process, ends up being such, and you combine that with the networking you talked about earlier, it becomes magical. It becomes magical. Now, I have a few more questions. Did you because here this question comes up a lot. People ask, did you get an additional training or certification for what you do now? Or was your
For
PhD
a
enough?
specific to this job,
Yeah.
no, no.
No.
I mean, if you have PhD, I mean, if you are, if you have a graduate degree from your university, uh, certification, I'm not sure how much they will carry the weight, because your PhD itself is a very heavyweight degree,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you will learn eventually. Actually, it's not like that. The moment you get into the office, you start working. No, you will go through a onboarding session, and they will train you. So
Yeah.
no,
No.
No
And
certification opportunity.
and to piggyback off of that, I think that the reason why people struggle with this particular question, right? Did you get extra certifications, is because sometimes they're applying for jobs. Like you said, you applied for hundreds of jobs. I identify with that. But a lot of us have been, I think, socialized to think that if you have a PhD or if you have an advanced degree, then applying for jobs should be easy. And I think that because of that, when PhDs start applying for jobs and nothing is working out, they're like, why not? Like, I have a PhD. They should be able to see that I have a PhD and hire me. But I think the lesson here is that our PhDs do hold weight. And the fact that you're not getting jobs is not a reflection that your PhD is not worth it. But what it does mean, and I think Dr. Im, you mentioned this as you were talking, is the other things, the other components that come into play.
Yes.
In this day and age, you cannot say that you are going to just apply for jobs without networking. In this day and age, it's not, it's important that you don't just throw your CV everywhere, but you have a CV or have a resume that speaks to, right, most of what is in a job description, even if you don't have everything in the job description, right? And so love that you mentioned that your PhD holds a lot of water. You've learned so many things. Certifications are definitely nice, but I love what you said. You already have almost everything you need. Um, and this question about, do you have any regrets about leaving academia? Do you?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, because, okay, do you have regret leaving your high school? Or do you
No.
have regret for leaving your old town that you live in, you brought up in? No, like
Right.
life goes on. You move to a new chapter of your life and just move on. Don't cry over spilled milk. And it's not spilled milk in the first place because, I mean, I just don't understand this part. I mean, let's say we were in our high school or in middle school for 4 to 5 years. We never identify ourselves with that middle school. I
Right.
don't say I'm a middle schooler, I'm a high schooler. No, we go to the college, right? Because that's another level. So why don't you level up? I'm not saying that being in the academia is bad. Of course, it's a noble profession. What I'm
Yeah,
saying, I mean, what is the norm? What is the norm? Let's say out of 50 PhDs, how many of them become academic and how many of them go to industry for
that's right.
last 50 years?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no regret. Yeah.
No regrets. Awesome. So now that we are like sort of landing this plane, thank you so much. This has been such a great conversation. I
Yeah,
know
sure.
all of your answers were so amazing. As we land this plane, my question for you, Dr. M, is for somebody who you just finished your PhD about a year ago, you were sharing with me, and you got this job right shortly afterwards. For somebody that may be in a PhD program right now and is looking to leave within the next 1 year, what are your maybe top 3 pieces of advice? You've already shared so much, but what haven't I asked you, or 3 pieces of advice that you would give to somebody who is about to finish and getting ready to enter industry?
Okay, so my first advice to myself and to others is number one is having genuine interest on people and the work you will be doing in the future.
Mm,
So that means, I mean, sometimes we do like reverse engineering. We think, okay, we have to get a job. That's why we have to do the networking, and that's why I do this stuff. I think we should change the narrative. We should have
mm,
genuine interest. Okay, let's say how you ask me question. How is your day to day look like? So you must have genuine interest. You must visualize what you want to do,
mm,
and then you have to find those people genuinely that you're really
mhm,
curious. Okay,
mhm,
that's number one. Number two, once you are really curious, then you start to talking to people.
mm,
I mean, let's say if you have a superstar in your mind that your favorite singer or your favorite artist, you're really curious about that person, right? And what if you find that person down the road, you just go and talk to them, right? Hey, I like your song. I mean, what you do? I mean, how you compose that music, or how like you ask those questions. Why is happening? Because you are genuinely curious about this person. You are genuinely curious
mm,
about the profession. Same thing, having genuine curiosity, interest about the person, and then start networking. Then it will be automatic. Then it will be natural.
mm.
Unless you don't have genuine interest, you cannot do the network because it's very superficial and artificial. So number
Yeah.
one, having genuine curiosity, genuine interest, and number two, keep networking that your person of interest. Number 3, repeat number 1 and number 2.
Yeah. Amazing, amazing. This has been such a great conversation, Dr. M. I'm just so honored that you would chat with me, and thank you for sharing all your nuggets with us.
Thank you, Dr. G. I mean, I'm happy to share. And I mean, the reason I'm here today because one of the thing I realized, I mean, those who want to go to academia, they have their mentors in the campus. I mean, they have at least five professors in the committee. They are there for how to do, like how you become an academia. But when someone want to transition from academia to industry, there's no one almost.
Yeah.
And I was looking for someone who could advise me how to transition into industry. So that's why I'm here. I mean, I'm just trying to spread the message, share the information that I have, so that yes, someone will be benefited.
Yes, and I know somebody will benefit. Thank you so much.